lifelong learners. Those are the words written in nearly every single curriculum document around the world, that we want our children to be lifelong learners. But my question is, what sustains after that? What sustains beyond the curriculum, What sustains beyond our students and our content from when they are not with us anymore? And so my question, and I have an essential question for this presentation, and my essential question is this: who are your students becoming because of your teaching and learning? Who are they becoming? Because we are so clear in education right now, it's not about content. You can find content anywhere. You can get information from the net in a split second. Something, of course, that we couldn't do even 10 years ago with the same accessibility we have now. When we were on the cruise ship in the Caribbean, we went to 3 ports, and at each port we stopped, there were private yachts, huge private yachts. And the conversation always like, ooh, who owns that one? And apparently one of them belonged to the Victoria's Secret people. That's where all the Victoria's Secret models hang out and have parties. But then there was this one, my favourite. On the top deck, it had a helicopter. But that wasn't the favourite part. The helicopter was wrapped in white, wrapping. And so I was like, wow, who do you have to be to have a wrapped helicopter? Not just a helicopter, but a wrapped one, wrapped in white, so that of course it's not going to go rusty when you're at sea. And imagine having your own helicopter on your own boat. And then the speculation was, perhaps it's Tiger Woods's. And I'm like, well, what evidence have you got? And this was a conversation with a few of us back in Sydney last week, because I was with a couple of people who'd been on the cruise. And so I'm like, well, what evidence have you got that it could belong to Tiger Woods? And they went, well, look, on that helicopter there's this little W. Maybe that's his logo. And I said, well, what is his logo? And everyone around the dinner table looks at each other going. So, of course, within 2 seconds, someone pulls out a mobile phone and checks. Now, still not sure if it's Tiger Woods' helicopter and yacht, because at that point we didn't have a big enough picture of the logo to be able to compare. But see, we can find content just like that. It's around, it's available. However, we do need to be, as Bill said, futurists, and to be able to look into the future and say, what is it that's going to be important? Because I think our job is far bigger than the content. It's far bigger than the content. You've got to teach something. You have to have content. You can't teach nothing. You can't say to children, think about it, but I don't want you to think about anything. You've got to think about something. However, it's bigger than this content. You see, if you owned a construction company and you were going to employ someone, which one of these people would you want to employ? Give you a moment to read through it. Which one do you want to employ? F, someone who can build a small structure with a hammer in concert with all the other tools. It's about the concert of being able to use all of these things interchangeably. Not just having the content, being able to identify it, being able to even just use it, but can we use it in a concert? Can we use it in many different ways? And I think this is what depicts education right now. It's a juggling act, isn't it? We have all these balls in the air, we have all this content in the air, But sometimes we're not really juggling with the right equipment. Sometimes we need to be looking at a different concert of tools in our classroom environment to really prepare these children to be lifelong learners. So let's have a look. If we had to look to the future, what are some of the key things that are going to be important for our students? Number one, Thomas Frey says 2 billion jobs will be gone by 2030. 2 billion jobs around the planet will be gone. Just have a quick discussion at the table. Which jobs do you think will be gone by 2030? Just what I call popcorn style, just call them out. Just call out anywhere around the room. Just call out the name of a profession that will probably be gone by 2030. Postie. Librarian, thank you. Retail, thank you. Bank tellers, thank you. Teachers. Maybe. Travel agents. Manufacturing, perhaps. So many jobs will be gone. So here's the thing. 60% of the jobs for our future have not been invented yet. Isn't that stunning? 60% of where our children are going to go. In fact, citizens of the future will have to create their own jobs. That's fascinating. And like this one, this came from the Teachers Matter conference in Sydney last week. From Ian Lillico, 40% of our 5-year-olds will be going into self-employment. Yet, it's not even really on the careers list yet. If you say, I want to own my own business. Do these children have entrepreneurial skills? Do they have budgeting skills? Do they have communication skills? Do they have marketing skills to own their own business? See, 40% of our 5-year-olds are going to be owning their own business. My daughter has her own business. It's called Crafty Girls. She wanted to earn some money, so I said, we'll start a little business. She makes hair clips. She makes little gifts. She makes beaded Christmas trees for Christmas decorations. And for months, we went to the market every Saturday morning and sat in the stall and sold. She's learning to leverage that time. It's boring, isn't it? Sitting at the market waiting. So she's been learning to leverage. She went around to the hairdressers and asked them would they like a little basket of hair clips to sell for $2 to their clients. That's easier, isn't it? Go back once a week, collect the money, restock the hair clips. Some of the presenters' gifts that they will get are all made from Crafty Girls. And a little business. She made $400 over Christmas. That's a lot, isn't it? I'm the accountant. She's not in the room, is she? She didn't know it was $400. Creative accountant took a cut. But you see, this is what the future is for many of our children. And are we preparing them for this future? Are we preparing them for this? Here are the 8 professions that are suggested are going to be some of the new professions that are going to replace some of these others. The digital death manager. If you've been to a funeral and they do the big little PowerPoint presentation of somebody's life, someone will be employed to do that. They will be able to take all your Facebook posts, all your Twitter feeds, anything people remember, photographs, all your photos online, and be able to create your life in a little presentation. What about the urban shepherd? The urban shepherd's job is, with our cities needing to be greener as our cities get bigger, and we have to think from a global perspective because we don't really necessarily think this way in New Zealand. But who's going to look after the new infrastructure? Who's going to take care of urban beehives? Who is going to make sure the composting is set up correctly and know how to curate all the vertical gardens in those huge big cities? So different jobs. What about this one? The armchair explorer. Turn to the person next to you. What do you think the armchair explorer does? According to this, the armchair explorer will have machines that are connected with tons of data that output performance of machines and factories and workplaces, and there will be people who sit in their armchairs who can go into these places and start looking at productivity and are they doing the best that they can do and how could they change, and they're going to be just analysing data. A friend of mine in America recently just had twins, and before she had her twins, she put a little post on Facebook. She found this device, this digital device you can put around the ankle of a baby that's connected to your cell phone that would tell her if the baby was too hot or too cold, if the baby was, heart rate was starting to increase. Now, I'm not sure if she bought one. I'm hoping she didn't, because what happened to just looking at them and saying, but the future, interesting. What about this one? Digital detox specialist. I need to know in this room, confession time, how many people in this room have been to Candy Crush Rehab? Thank you for, I have been to Candy Crush Rehab. Some of you going, what the heck is Candy Crush? I envy you. It is an online game that is so addictive. The people who made it make, I think it's like $1 million a day. That's how much money they are bringing in. And you just level up, level up, level up. I'm at 244. What other numbers do we have in the room? 140. Just call them out. In Australia, at the Sydney conference, someone called out 430. And we all went, what? She said, there are no more levels. She said, I'm waiting for them to bring the next ones out. I can't wait. It's addictive. You don't have to pay money unless you get stuck for so long. It keeps offering you the chance to pay $1, $2, $10, $30 to get yourself unstuck from a level. And so, you know, what about these kids or these future people who are addicted to these platforms? We're going to have digital detox specialists going to help us unplug. How many of you feel uncomfortable if you are eating your breakfast and you haven't checked your emails yet? But some of you check the emails before you even say hello to your partner, right? You see, it's like we are stuck in this, and we're in this digital time, but we have to be able to manage that. What else do we have? Unschooling counsellor. The idea of leaving school and going into do a 4-year degree is going out. Particularly when we know that so many people do degrees and never use them, will never use them, will never be employed in the area that they have trained in. Plus, so many people going out and doing degrees that we know by 2 years into the degree, half of what they learned in the first year is now obsolete. The world is changing so fast. So these unschooling experts will be people you go to and say, here's what I need to learn. I just need a quick course. I don't need to do a full degree. How do I just do this? I'm flirting with the idea, and it's very flirtatious. I'm flirting with the idea of doing a doctorate. Not because I want to be Dr. Karen Boyes, that does not thrill me at all, but because it would give me the opportunity to sink my teeth into something over a long period of time. And I find that fascinating. But when I explore this idea at our universities, and I've only explored it with a couple at the moment, there are so many hoops they want me to jump through, and I have to do this and this before I can do this and this and this, but I actually have the capacity to go straight there. And so where does our unschooling counsellor help us to be able to do that? And be able to go straight from here to here instead of having to jump through the hoops just because someone says you need to. And at the moment I'm really teetering on, I could just do the research without I don't need to have the, piece of paper that says I've done it. I can still do that research. But perhaps having someone alongside me to guide me and to be able to stretch me also excites me as well. What about the corporate disorganiser? The corporate disorganizer takes, big companies want to be more like startups. So big, huge companies want to have that intimate feeling of a startup company. So how can they take big, huge companies and break them into smaller pieces and make them have that family feeling again? Interesting. What about this one? The 3D printing handyman. I'm not sure about you, but I love the look of the 3D printers and the idea that you can print things from in your home. And but if we all have 3D printers, what's going to happen when they break down? We're going to need someone to be able to fix those. And then finally, what about the microbiologist balancer? Someone who is has all the data about what's going on inside your body and says you need more vitamin C, you need to have a bigger rest, you need this, you need this, you need this to balance your body. So in such a busy world, these are possibly some of the things that our students are going into. So when we start looking at this and then we start talking about 21st century skills, my good friend and mentor, Dr. Art Costa, has been saying for a long time that while we're 14 years through the 21st century, we're still talking about 21st century skills, perhaps we need to be looking broader. He suggests that the 5-year-olds in your classroom will be living in the 22nd century. He suggests that with modern medicine, that your children in your classrooms will live to be 120 to 140 years old. So if that's the case, we need to be talking about the 22nd century. But what I loved was one of the presenters got up on the stage last week and said, we still have 86 years of the 21st century to go. Let's not focus on the 22nd just yet. Let's look at the next 86. Where are these children going to go? What are we going to do to be these futurists and to prepare them? So when you look online and put in 21st century skills, here's what you get. You get hundreds of models of what 21st century skills really are. But at your table, please just have a quick dialogue as to what are some of the essential skills you think the students in your classroom will need for the next 86 years. 21st century skills. What would they be? Turn to the people next to you. And please begin to finish up. And thank you. Well, we possibly are still thinking about what are the 21st century skills or still debating what they are. Art Costa and Ben Akalik have just written their latest book called Dispositions, Reframing Teaching and Learning. I think this is groundbreaking. They've taken the research, current research from the last 10 years on education and talked about we need to reframe education. They're talking about Paul Tuff's work on what 21st century skills may be. Maybe some of these words came up at your table. They look at Tony Wagner's work. What does he say from Harvard University? They look at David Conley's work. What does he say are our 21st skills and dispositions that our children are going to need? I think we do as educators need to reframe perhaps what's going on in our classrooms. See, do you ever come across students like this?
Late. Anybody out there? Do you have a phone? No. Sorry. Somebody! Hello? There are 2 people stuck on an escalator and we need help.
Would somebody please do something? I don't believe this. You gotta be kidding me.
I'm gonna cry.
Well, there's nothing left to do. Oh! Hey, don't worry about it. I'll fix it in a second. He said he can fix it. All right. All right. That's more like it. He says he can fix it.